Have you ever seen somebody trying to use crutches that look like Bambi walking for the first time? Or maybe seen somebody using some crutches that look like, man, they fit exactly to their body. Well, if you're trying to use crutches for a temporary injury, whether they're under the arm, or maybe more of that long-term mobility like forearm crutches, well, in this video, I'm going to discuss axillary crutches and forearm crutches and how you can fit and measure them specifically to you so you don't look like that Bambi and you look like that person that fits just like a glove and you have confidence and safety and comfort with your crutches. For axillary crutches underneath the arm, you're going to want to first position these with the feet or the point of it pointing at about 6 inches in front of your toe and out to the side of your toes. From there, you'll see where the pad that goes under your arm sets. It should set about 2 to 3 finger widths from your armpit or about 1 to 2 inches. That's the first thing that you may have to adjust the height of the crutch to get it to where it's fitting there. Then the second thing that you may have to adjust is the arm length. So where you hold on to it, you should have a bend in your elbows. They shouldn't be straight and they shouldn't be really bent. So for the bend in the elbows, you're looking at about that 20 to 25 degree mark. And when I say that, I mean this is completely straight. And then if I bent it up slightly, and you're looking for that much bend, around that 20 to 25 up to 30 degrees of bend. If the arm pad isn't between 2 and 3 finger widths or 1 to 2 inches, then you need to adjust the height of the crutch. And to adjust the height of the crutch, depending on the actual model that you have, you're either going to push in both of the buttons or one of the buttons, and then you can slide it up and down to make it longer or shorter. If you have a really old version, like the old wooden styles, you may have to unscrew the nut, pull it out, and you adjust the bottom that way. But typically the only reason you have to do that is for the hand grips. And now for the hand grips, which I'm about ready to tell you about, a lot of them have push buttons as well now. So a side note in here, if you are getting crutches for you, you want to make sure that your height actually falls within the range of those crutches. Some people don't realize that crutches come with a range of height, the lowest they can go or the tallest they can go. So make sure that you get the right one. Another tip for axillary crutches is make sure you do not lean on them. Do not have that crutch pad all the way up in your armpit and don't lean on them, because what's going to happen is you're going to get raw irritated. Your skin's going to get irritated. Your bones, your rib cage, and your shoulders, they're going to get sore, you're going to feel bruised. Some people end up putting pads or towels and wrapping around them. But the key is not to rest on them, that it should be resting about right here. So they're not very comfortable for the long term. That's why typically axillary crutches are used for those acute injuries. Now for more chronic conditions, or when you're going to have to use them for a long period of time, it's better to use a version of crutches called Forearm, or also called Lofstrand crutches. Those are the type of device that I use right now for me and that I've been able to progress down towards. At times I'll use 2, but most of the time I've gotten to the point where I can just use one forearm crutch. So remember, if you have questions on how to use these devices, check out my next part of this series, which will go into depth of how to use each device. And those videos will be in the mobility devices playlist, which is in the description below. So back to Lofstrand or forearm crutches. I personally love these. They cause less strain on my shoulders. Don't get the soreness up here because it doesn't go up here. And then I also have the ones with the cuffs, and the cuffs go almost all the way around, so there's like a little breakthrough in it. But it allows one arm to be free, or your arms to be free, and use your hands and not feel like if I let go of this device it's going to fall, or I've got to prop it up against something. Of course, you have to have the balance to be able to do that, but it is a great option to be able to keep your mobility device, not have to put it down or worry about it falling, and still be able to do what you need to do with your arms and hands. So as I mentioned, forearm crutches, measuring them are very similar to axillary crutches. You're going to have the point of the crutch 6 inches in front of your toes, 6 inches out to the side, and then that's going to be your starting point for measuring. First thing you're going to do is see where that hand grip falls. Does that hand grip should fall about your hip height? Where if you moved your leg in and out, you can kind of feel that bone that sticks out. That's your hip bone, and that hip bone is about where you want your grip of your hand to be. There's an alternative way to figure this out. If you don't think about where your hip bone is, you can just have your arms flat at your side, and about where your wrist crease falls, with your arms straight, elbows extended, that's about where the hand grip should be. Because when you lift it up and you put your hand on that grip, you create that natural bend, like I talked about in the axillary crutches that you want. Never have your arms straight. We always want a little bend, but not too much bend. Now, once you've got the actual grip set, now you want to think about the forearm cuff. There is a second adjustment, just like the axillary crutches on the forearm crutch, and that comes with the width between your elbow and your hand grip. Now, with that, you've got a cuff. The cuff up here needs to be not above your elbow, on your elbow, but it needs to be below your elbow. Below your elbow about 1 to 2 inches or 2 to 3 finger widths down from your elbow. Same as the axillary crutch for the pad up here under your arm. So from your elbow down about 1 to 2 inches, 2 to 3 finger widths. That's about where you want it to fall. Make sure you come back and watch more of the mobility devices playlist, because depending on when you're watching this video, they may or may not be there yet. But next week I'm going to talk about how to use the devices specifically in part 2 and mastering those mobility devices. And then the next week we'll be talking about part 3, wheelchairs, everything you need to know about those. And in the following week, to wrap up this series, I'm going to be talking about essential extras. Things like how to get the orders, how to get insurance to pay for it, the process of going through this, especially for those more expensive things like walkers and wheelchairs. And then, of course, some information from a physical therapy standpoint and a person dealing with chronic conditions that has been through a lot of this stuff and had to be on both sides of the spectrum of things that can help you with physical therapy and chronic conditions.
God doesn't make mistakes. And if he called you into that position, no matter how overwhelming the position is, it's because he believes that you are the woman for the job.
So I'll see you in the next video.